On Wednesdays at 7, sharp as can be, blue gals calling, come knit with me.
Hey, everybody. Happy Easter week. Lent is just about over, and as you know, I've been doing blankets for Lent, and I've actually made quite a lot of progress finishing blankets, mostly for charity. And I've been working on one for my own use or for family members' use called the Mitered Crosses Blanket, which is by Kay Gardner of Modern Daily Knitting. And I have finished all 10 squares for this blanket. And it's really showing very dark. This is actually a dark purple, this stripe here. It's a variegated yarn and it's acrylic. I've used acrylic for this. The 10 squares for the blanket are done. All of the interior ends are worked in for all 10 squares. And Lent is just about over. And I am ready to put this very consciously and very intentionally back into hibernation until next Lent. And interestingly enough, I found out that Lent next year, Easter and Lent, are very early. And Lent starts in February 18th. So that is only 10 months from now. It's not a full year. And that's just because the way it works is, and I looked this up, Easter is always the first Sunday after the first full moon following the spring equinox. So if you know your equinoxes, it's winter solstice is the shortest day of the year, and summer solstice is the longest day of the year. And spring and autumn equinoxes are the midway points where the day is neither long nor short, basically. And it's this equinox is the sunlight and the dark are the same. So that means Easter moves all over the map in terms of all over the calendar in terms of when it falls. And next year, Lent 2026 begins on February 18th. So that's early. So in 10 months, I will pull this out again. And I wanted to share also just how much work is left on this blanket. I have the 10 squares, and the way the 10 squares are arranged in the blanket is like this. So I have 27 garter ridges to put on the side of 4 of the squares. And then you are supposed to, according to the pattern, pick up the stitches in these vertical lines on all of the squares and then do a 3-needle bind off to join them together on the wrong side. And then you've got your horizontal strips, and you pick up and you do 3-needle bind off. The horizontal strips, you knit those together on the wrong side. And then you put an I-cord around the whole thing. So even though I have the 10 squares done, I think I've got about 24 hours of knitting left to do on this blanket. That's what I'm figuring. I'm figuring a good chunk of Lent is going to be spent finishing this next year. And I noticed on the pattern itself, this came out in 2011, that no one had finished the blanket to show them. There was a square shown on the picture of the blanket. But the blanket, they promised a finished blanket would be up at some point later in the year. So in 2011. So it takes some time to finish it. It does. But I think the reward is you're going to have a great looking blanket. I'm going to have a great looking blanket. I'm excited about it. So I have created with the help of Claude AI, which is really my favorite, Claude, Claude, I have created a project pause worksheet. And this is linked below. You can print this out yourself or copy it over to your own Google Doc. It's a Google Doc. And it has, I'm going to fill this out for the blanket and put it in with the pattern. I've written a note on the pattern as to which size needles I used. I'm going to include all the yarn because I know I have enough yarn left to finish it. All my leftover yarn will go in the bag, and the needles, because I've got enough needles. I can do that. And so I'm going to put this project pause worksheet in there with the project name, the date paused, the needle size, the yarn used, where I'm at in the pattern, and any modification. I haven't done any modifications really so far. And technique reminders for when I return. It has a pause reason, which is and checklist. You can say, got stuck on a technique, project became too repetitive, lost interest temporarily, technical issue to solve, need materials or tools, seasonal project shift, and that's what I'm going to put down. Got distracted by a new pattern, yeah. Deadline for another project. Okay, so mine is seasonal project shift. My season of blankets is Lent. So and then my it says approximate date to revisit. My date to revisit is February 18th, 2026. So I have a plan. And my accountability, it says potential accountability support is, I told you guys. And then there's some reflection that's optional. What I've learned from this project so far is this blanket takes a long time to make, and why this project still matters to me. It's going to be gorgeous. So, and then the bottom says, remember, pausing is not failing. It's strategic crafting. Right. So if you want a copy of this for your UFOs or your WIPs, it's linked below. So help yourself. And so that's the blanket. And then this is the April sock, which I'm just loving this yarn. This is that German yarn that I just love. Congo Sally is the name of the color. And so sock 1 is finished. And this pattern is called the Slow Days sock. And I'm going to try to show you this from my sock. Yeah, I can do that. Okay, you can see this. You just start with a 5-inch or so knit 2 purl 2 leg. This is a free pattern, by the way, so I'm not giving away, state secrets. Then you, it's 6 stitches, I believe. 6, let me double check this. Yeah, 6 stitches. So you place markers with 6 stitches in between the markers, and you increase every other row with a make one right and a make one left until you have 42 stitches. You go from 6 to 42 in that increased wedge. It's a very interesting construction. And so when you get to 42, life, the universe, and everything, then you do a very long short row turn of the heel. And it's just like turning a heel on a heel flap sock. You start but you start with, like, let me look here again. Turning the heel here. There we go. You start with 1, 2 together. No, yeah, it's 3 stitches. So it's 3 stitches that you start with here at the top of the heel. And you increase, of course, because you're doing short rows, but you increase down here till you have 30. And then you'll have 30 stitches on the bottom of the foot. And for this, I'm doing 64 stitches. So I have 34 on the top of the foot. And then you just proceed like you would with a normal sock with the toe and everything. Toe is standard toe. There are options for a 60 stitch sock and a 68 stitch sock if you need smaller or larger. I usually always use 64, but isn't it lovely? It's really nice. And like I said, there are pictures here of she has pictures of a solid sock and also a variegated at Ravelry. And again, pattern link below, free pattern. And second sock is on the needles. And that was the other thing I wanted to talk about, which is since I'm consciously hibernating this blanket and Lent is over and, some of the decks are being cleared, I'm having an attack of cast-on-itis and, feeling very scattered in terms of what to start. And I had said to all of you that I wanted to make a hat, and I wanted to use this pattern, which is a free pattern by Lanja Cohn Engheim. It's the Eat the Rich hat. And you may remember that Crafts Untold did this chart that you could replace the Eat the Rich with. And I thought I was going to do this, and I am to the point now where I can't even knit his name. So that it's just too much. So the sentiment is fine, but knit actually following a chart with his name on it is triggering. So I found something by, and this is free, also on Ravelry, Jerry Ellen Dow. And she did this year also. As you know, I was planning, and I'm still planning, to use Ukrainian flag colors for my hat. And Jerry Ellen Dow came up with this chart, Slava Ukraini. And I think this is it. So what I'm promising myself I will do this week is get these skeins of Madeline Tosh wound so that they're ready to knit. That much I will do. And I'm putting all these charts together with the hat, and I'll need to figure out fitting this. She did this so that she has a whole sunflower theme. This is the cap of the hat that she has with, to make it look like a sunflower. I'm just going to do this with the, the more Scandinavian look from the Eat the Rich. And I'll need to figure out fitting this into the chart. The way she, Crafts Untold had instructions for this one on how to fit it in. So I'll need to count and take a look at that. But I think that's what I'm going to do, is do that hat. That's on the list anyway. And then in order to focus, I need to focus, knit a second sock week. So I'm going to get that second sock finished because that really is deadline knitting and needs to be done before the end of April. And I'm not doing knit a second sock week anymore because people need 10 days at least. So we're going to start next Monday with knit a second sock, and join us on Blue Sky. The hashtag is second sock KAL. And I will be announcing this on Blue Sky also sometime this weekend. Is that everything? Oh my goodness, that's everything? Well, let's read. Let's find the book and read. Here it is. All right. I am going to read today from a little book called Knit, Purl, Pray, 52 Devotions for the Creative Soul. It's a little heavy on the religion part, but some of it is very good, and I like this section. This is called Knit Your Bit. In World Wars I and II, knitters were called upon to outfit the fighting men in the United States military. The Red Cross had patterns aplenty for knitters to make socks, helmet liners, hot water bottle covers, scarves, and even plain old bandages. The need for woolens was as great as the need for ammunition. Slogans got knitters to join the war effort. Knit your bit. Make do and mend. Our boys need socks. Knitting for Tommy. These were rally cries for those on the home front to support the soldiers in battle. Thankfully, the world wars are over, but still countless people are in war-torn places or in the midst of natural disasters and in great need. There are still numerous places where your knitting can go to make a big difference. Knitting for charities is a very satisfying way to spend your knit time. I have one knitter friend who ties her stitching time. Each week, she spends one day knitting only on charity projects. She makes lots of scarves for the homeless as well as countless baby hats for the preemies. I like to knit my bit for the World Vision Knit for Kids project. I feel good about sending sweaters to children who would otherwise not have a warm garment. And knitting my donation is a personal way to offer comfort rather than buying clothing from a store. Maybe you have a charity of choice too. If not, there are many to choose from. A quick search on Google will give you lots of ideas. You might even feel the urge to start your own charity effort. I encourage you to find an outlet for your knitting energies and even tithe your knit time. We no longer have posters and banners urging us our boys need socks, but there are a lot of folks who could use your handiwork. Finding a way to share your hand knits benefits both sides of the needle. You will find a pleasure in helping others, not to mention busting your stash down to size. And recipients will have a new sweater or hat or scarf made just for them. Soothing the hurt of another with yarn may seem like a small thing, but it will make a big difference to that person. The little bit of knitting will go a long way to let someone know that they are cared for and loved. I hope that you can cast on some warmth soon. Knitting is a gift of compassion within your power to offer. That's from Knit, Purl, Pray by Lisa Bogart. And hope you guys are knitting something. And I'm going to put that blanket away. And I really do like this idea of kind of a love note to your unfinished project and a planning page for your unfinished projects that's not on Ravelry, that's not published, but is just for you to know where you left off and to know when you plan to pick it up again. And I might use that for some other UFOs that are sitting in bags. Kind of take a look at it. This is something I've talked about before, where you take a UFO and just work on it for 15 minutes. And you could do that with this Project Pause worksheet. It's a way to look at the patterns, see where you're at, see do you need more yarn, see do you need to watch a YouTube video on how to finish something. Did you get stuck because it got boring? Did you get stuck because it's not finishable? In which case it's time to frog it. This exercise will help you recognize where to frog something and when to frog something. So for that purpose, it's a good exercise to just take something out and look at it and see. I mean, I've told the story about the scarf that only needed 5 more garter ridges to finish it. And I was sitting in a bag for how long? And my girlfriend who had a sweater sitting in a bag that she'd worked on when she was an exchange student in China. And, you know, here she was an adult with a baby and her whole life had changed. And she pulls these pieces out and they're beautiful. She sews them together and has a champagne party for her sweater. So, you know, there are ways to revisit something without making that full commitment to, oh, I have to, now I have all this guilt or I have all this, you know, I shouldn't have even started this, right? Frog it. But spend a little Pomodoro, 15 to 25 minutes looking at it and playing with it and seeing where am I with this? And then it's, you know, you can put it on Ravelry if you want to, but maybe you just want to draw a little, you know, fill out a little worksheet and stick it in with that bag and put it on your calendar. Say, I want to finish this in July, my birthday month, because I want to wear it. I want to finish it before Halloween. Whatever it is. or I want to wait until next Lent, which is February. That blanket, that's what's going to happen with that. So it's just a way of kind of planning and organizing, and also being kind to yourself, and being kind to yourself about those UFOs. Take a look at them, say, look, this was a disaster and it's wrong and I'm going to rip it out. Or, oh, look, this is almost done. And I spent 15 minutes on it and made a lot of progress with it. And I like it and I do want to wear it. So here we go. Anyway, whatever it is, do be kind to yourself. Enjoy your knitting. And I will see you next week. Bye-bye.
On Wednesdays at 7, sharp as can be, blue gals calling, come knit with me.